Greetings! In this video I'll be painting a Despoiler from the Imperial Fist's Legion. This Legion was a request, though I'll be painting it a bit different than requested. More on that at the end. This mini was made from a normal Mark 6 Tactical Legionary, but with a Thunderhammer from the Melee upgrade kit. To prepare the miniature for this video, I primed it black, then built up layers with White Scar air paint. If you don't have an airbrush and want to follow along, you can use a White Scar rattle can spray primer instead. Over the white, I used Imperial Fist contrast paint. This will stain the white, and anywhere the yellow pools will go a bit orange. I applied it sparingly over the smooth panels, but I went a bit heavier over the more complex details, like the pauldron with the molecular bonding studs. I left it to fully dry, then went over the entire model with a dry brush of Phalanx yellow. I did this for both a highlight and to smooth out some of the blotchy finish that contrast paints sometimes result in. Next I switched to Dorn yellow and applied a smaller dry brush. I always go a bit heavier than I think I should for the final highlight, as I know I'll go back with other colours and weathering later, which will reduce the impact here. The yellow was looking a bit splotchy, so I went in with a thin coat of Flash Gitz yellow, applied like a glaze. This will work to both bring the yellow back, and to reduce the size of the previously dry brushed edge highlight. Happy with the yellow, I used a gloss varnish on the pauldrons and knees in preparation for decals. I applied decals off camera, using these two images as reference. I used microset and microsol to apply the decals. If you do the same, be careful, as something in them can dissolve the contrast paint. I had to glaze over the ankle to correct the issue. In hindsight, I should have applied the varnish in a bigger area. After I was done applying the decals, I went on to paint all the black parts, as well as base coating in where the silver was going to go, with Abaddon black. For the silver bits, I used Iron Warriors. Having the black undercoat means I only need to do one coat with this. If I apply this straight over the yellow, it would look a bit lighter than I'd want. For the molecular bonding studs, I do each stud from one angle, then move the model and do the same again from a different angle. This way I don't miss a weird angle on a single stud, getting all of them done in one go. To break up the silver on the Thunderhammer, I use some Sycorax bronze on select bits. I switched to Runefang steel to do the highlight on the silver. This really helps bring up the shine, especially on the molecular bonding studs. The footage for the eyes wasn't great, so I'll go through it quickly. I used Mephiston red all over the lenses, then Evil Sunz Scarlet in towards the middle. Wild Rider red was applied on the lens towards the middle of the face, and Lugganath orange was applied in the dot towards the nose. Do note the little sensor thing on the top of his helmet as well. I applied the same paints there. I went a bit too large with the orange this time, but I think it's fine. Next I went in to highlight the black with some Mechanicus standard grey. This was a normal edge highlight, though I went in and applied some chipping where I could. Having finished the power pack, I went back to Runefang steel and painted in the rivets all over it. For the weathering, I started with Rhinox hide and applied some tiny dots and scratches all over the model, primarily on the edges. I didn't want this model to be super weathered, just enough so that it breaks up the highlights and adds some interest. Off camera, I did the rivets that I missed on the forehead with Runefang steel. Now onto an enamel pin wash. I thinned this a fair bit, and applied it sparingly around panel lines in the actually intended way, instead of slathering it on like I normally do. Any build-up of paint away from the recesses was cleaned up while I was applying it. After an hour or so, I applied my usual basing method, and then sealed everything in with an ultramatte varnish. And here we have it. A Despoiler of the Imperial Fist's Legion. I'm very happy with the finished product here. I was concerned how the yellow would come out. I'm not used to using contrast paint for armour, especially with the prospect of making a mistake and having to go back. The Flash Gitz yellow glaze helped it a lot more than I thought it would to resolve any issues or miscoloured parts. I think the colour came out nicely. It's got some warm shadows in there, but it doesn't look orange, which is what I was trying to avoid. I mentioned at the start of this video that it was a request, though it was requested to use the pink method. To briefly cover that method, the idea is that you paint the model pink, then paint white from above using an airbrush as a zenithal highlight. You can use a dry brush for that, but it'll only hit the raised bits. The yellow contrast will apply the same as you see here over the white, but will go orange over the pink. This gives a strong shadow appearance, though personally I think it looks too orange for the Imperial Fists. Don't get me wrong, this method can look really nice, but I want to avoid airbrush focused methods on this channel, for the time being at least. I know many people don't have an airbrush, and to be honest, these overly smooth, arty styled airbrush schemes don't really fit my style. Anyway, back to the Mini. The weathering went well I think. It, along with the enamel pin wash, helped to add the definition that I was looking for. All in all, I think this guy came out really nicely. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. What would you have done differently, or what you'd like to see? Anyway, I hope you stick around for the next one.